challenges, in our opinion, seem to have overwhelmed our security institutions.
The governors are supposed to be the state security officers of their state.
There is need for us to at least engage the traditional rulers.
We need to do something about our porous borders.
We have to own it from the unit level to the ward level to the local government to state.
Mr. President, the importance of today for us is for us to take action.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Our committees should be alive and alert on how the funds that we borrowed will be put to use.
Senate President calls for proper oversight as Senate gives nod to the President to access foreign loan.
Everything should be done to make sure that we preserve this animal.
And bill to save donkeys from extinction scales second reading. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of Inside the Senate. The Senate, in the week under review, passed the Supplementary Appropriation Act while also giving President Muhammadu Buhari the nod to access foreign loan of about $6.1 billion to fund deficits in the 2021 budget. It also debated an interesting bill targeted at saving the donkey from extinction in Nigeria. Reports on these bills and more, plus committee interactions, make up our package this week. Stay tuned for the details after the break.
The Senate to send a message to the President
to reap opportunities from that.
Raise a matter of urgent public importance, and we are aware that when this particular motion comes up
for a longer term development, arise to second the motion.
Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Welcome back. The Senate, Wednesday the 7th of July 2021, passed the 2021 supplementary budget for security and campaign against the COVID-19 pandemic. This was after a clause-by-clause consideration of the report of the Committee on Appropriation, which worked on the supplementary budget. Chairman of the committee, Senator Barrow Jibrin, gave the breakdown as follows. Total budget, 895.8 billion naira. Recurrent non-debt expenditure, 173.4 billion naira. Capital expenditure, 722.3 billion naira. Similarly, the chairman, Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, Senator Clifford Odia, presented the committee report on the request of President Muhammadu Buhari for an external borrowing of 2.3 trillion naira, about $6.1 billion in the 2021 Appropriation Act through the issuance of Eurobond in the international capital market. The request was approved in the Committee of Supply with the following recommendation: that the Senate directs the Minister of Finance, the CBN Governor, as well as the Director General, Debt Management Office, to submit to the National Assembly to within 10 working days, excluding the days of close of trading, a letter containing the US dollars amount so raised and received as a result of the above-mentioned approval, together with the appropriate exchange rate. Senate President Ahmad Dawan harped on proper oversight in his remark on the passage.
Our committees should be alive and alert on how the funds that we borrowed will be put to use.
Still on Wednesday, 7th July 2021, the Senate debated a bill for an act to repeal the Explosives Act 2004 and reenact the Explosives Bill 2021, sponsored by Senator Tanko Almakura. The bill, amongst other things, seeks to make provisions for the use and control of explosives. According to him, the present act is obsolete with the following deficiencies: inadequate penalties for offenders, as well as classification system that is inconsistent with the standards of the international community.
The bill requires explosives to adhere to United Nations regulations in terms of classification, marking, transport, and packaging. The bill further makes new provisions to compel explosives to be packed, marked, and labeled in accordance with international best practices in line with the identification and classification of dangerous goods for transport.
The contributions that followed supported the passage of the bill.
This bill, when you see the light of the day, it also provides the aspects of the need of importers and suppliers to obtain authorization before explosion, and it will create room and legal backing for the ministry to know who are qualified for and when to issue license.
Explosives are instruments of mass destruction, which we have witnessed in our history of insurgency in this country. I believe that a very stringent regulation in line with international practice will be very, very important to monitor and regulate the packaging, the storage, and transportation of explosives.
And so, the bill scaled second reading and was referred to the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals to report back in 4 weeks. Earlier Tuesday, the 6th of July 2021, Senate leader Yahya Abdullahi reported the depletion of donkeys' population in Nigeria as a result of non-regulation of their slaughter for consumption and export of their hides.
The national donkey population.
It is to address this trend that he presented for second reading a bill for an act to regulate the slaughter of donkeys and establish the breeding and ranching of donkeys through export certification value chain to mitigate the extinction of donkeys. Before the presentation, the minority leader and one other senator came under exclusive legislative powers to argue the competence of the Senate as a federal institution to legislate on the matter, as according to them, issues concerning livestock fall within the purview of state and local governments.
We are to make laws exclusively for what is determined in the Constitution. We do not make laws for residual matters that are left for states and local governments, as the case may be.
I want to say that the argument of whether a cattle or a donkey is going to extinction is beyond the point. The question is, as of today, on the state of our constitution, National Assembly, by the constitution that all of us sworn to uphold, does not have the competence.
However, the deputy whip of the Senate, who is also a veterinary doctor, spoke in favor of the bill, with the Senate president supporting.
We have done the studies in Gombe State, and in Gombe State, with due respect, we found people coming from Akwa Ibom to buy large population of donkey, and we interviewed them and saw that yes, there is a value chain. We are saying, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that for us, this bill, as we see it, is something this country needs.
What we are talking about is concerning the donkey, not the donkey for commercial purposes, but the extinction of the donkey. And I believe that we could legislate on this like any other livestock if we feel that will disproportionately destroy our ecosystem.
Consequently, the debate was allowed to continue, with the sponsor, amongst other things, enumerating what the bill seeks to achieve.
The slaughter of the donkeys had become an attractive business nationwide, not for the donkey meat, which is an inconsequential product of donkey slaughter, but the donkey hides, which is a lucrative export product. This bill therefore seeks to achieve the following objectives. 1. To declare the donkey as an endangered species, which as a result of indiscriminate slaughtering for the purpose of harvesting its skin has greatly depleted the national herd of the animal. 2. To make Nigeria derive utmost benefit from the donkey hide export business that is worth millions of dollars by regulation instead of outright ban of the business that will compel the value chain players to go underground and ultimately increase the smuggling of the product due to the huge demand for the product in the Far Eastern countries, especially China.
Protection of animal all over the world now is like protection of also human being. When any species is being threatened to be extincted, it will be our responsibility as a parliament to ensure that we use our God-given power to protect such species.
It is my position that everything should be done to make sure that we preserve this animal. Also, Mr. President, this animal is known to be very, very resistant to drought. Therefore, there will be some genetic significance. We have not exploited the gene pool of this animal, which we can exploit for medical purposes in future.
The bill then scaled second reading and referred to the Senate Committee on Agriculture to report back in 4 weeks. Another bill presented for second reading seeks the renaming of the Nigerian Port Authority (NPA) to Nigerian Ports and Harbours Authority. Titled, A Bill for an Act to Repeal the NPA and Establish the Nigerian Ports and Harbours Authority to, amongst other things, provide ownership, management as well as development of ports and harbours in Nigeria. Sponsor of the bill, Senator Enju Magoje, gave clarification on it, while a senator supported his position.
The enactment of this very important bill into law will transform this critical sector of the economy, as well as promote internal and international trade. It will give the authority regulatory powers to manage and develop ports and harbors in Nigeria by providing adequate enabling environment for the private sector to operate as against the requirement in the Principal Act enabling the authority to provide services as an operator.
The purpose of the bill, as clearly articulated, is very germane, particularly in the area of ensuring integrity, efficiency, and safety of the ports.
Accordingly, the bill scaled second reading and was referred to the Committee on Marine Transport to report back in 4 weeks. On motions, the Senate considered the ill treatment and illegal arrest and detention of Nigerians living on the border between Ogun State and the Republic of Benin. The matter came up as a matter of urgent public importance brought up by Senator Tolu Odebi.
The arrest of these Nigerians is based on the allegations that they are resisting encroachment into Nigerian land through Igbokobi village in the Yewa North local government area of Ogun State. These allegations of encroachment have been also flayed by the government of the state, as published in a release from the state government calling on the federal government to immediately secure the release of Nigerian citizens currently languishing in detention in the Republic of Benin as a result of their resistance to the continued encroachment.
Anytime our citizens are treated in a manner that suggests like they are nobody, it has a direct impact and insult on this country called Nigeria. I think as a people, as a government, as senators, we must condemn any act by any nation or any country against any citizen of this country.
The Senate, after consideration, resolved to urge the Committees on Foreign Affairs, Judiciary, as well as states and local governments to engage the ministries affected to investigate the matter and report back to the Senate in 2 weeks. Coming up next is the Senate Notebook. Please stay tuned.
Before the budget can become a binding act, it goes through certain steps. First, the proposed income and expenditure for the nation is sent through an appropriation bill to the National Assembly. This is debated at the Senate and sent to the Committee on Appropriation, which supervises other committees in the scrutiny of the figures. The Appropriation Committee then collates the figures and presents them to the whole Senate for passage after a clause-by-clause consideration. Following this is the harmonization of the figures passed by the Senate and House of Representatives, after which the harmonized bill is sent to the President for assent. Only then can appropriated monies be spent.
The only way out of the pandemic is for the population to observe the recommended measures advised by the NCDC, the Senate Committees on Health and Primary Health Care and Communicable Diseases will continue to engage with the Federal Ministry of Health and the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19.
You are still on to Inside the Senate. We will now take reports from the committee room, where Senate President Ahmed Lawan said the legislature would continue to support the establishment of tertiary institutions that would be instrumental to the development of Nigeria. He made the statement at a public hearing on 2 bills seeking the establishment of specialized tertiary institutions in the Northeast, namely Federal College of Forestry, Wawazenge Duku, Gombe State, Establishment Bill 2021 sponsored by Senator Saidu Alkali, as well as School of Mines and Geological Studies, Guyuk, Adamawa State, Establishment Bill 2021 sponsored by Senator Bino Siaro. He was represented by the Senate Deputy Leader, Senator Ajayi Borofis.
Our task is in legislature is to pay attention to the areas and be engaged in attempts at remedying them in the interest of wholeness, wholesome growth, and development. I therefore admonish us to be forthcoming and conscientious in our submissions, realizing that the future of our institutions and nation are in our hands.
Sponsor of one of the bills spoke on what Nigeria would benefit from the establishment of these institutions.
Only recently, I read in one of the newspapers where the Director General of the National Nigerian Conservation Foundation, NCF, is raising an alarm that Nigeria is losing 400,000 hectares of forestry every year through deforestation, and this country is facing a serious problem of desertification and soil erosion. This indeed is worrying. May I therefore reiterate my appeal for the establishment of the proposed College of Wawazangeduku in Gombe State on the ground that the existing number of forestry institutions in the country are grossly inadequate to cope with our rising demand for trained professional environmental studies to handle this rather very daunting task.
It will not only add to the training and retraining, research to our society, but rather I will see it as bills that will equally add to our economic development and also our GDP growth, especially the School of Mines and Geological Studies.
All who spoke were in support of the bill. Even then, the committee chairman gave opportunity for anyone holding contrary opinion to make a case.
If we have any dissenting voice as to the establishment of this bill, he is free to come to the podium. We will give him time, we will oblige him time. If not, he can submit it through the memorandum.
Thereafter, the committee promised to compile its report for transmission to Senate plenary for more legislative action. Present at the event were royal fathers, academics, as well as other stakeholders. Earlier Tuesday, the 6th of July 2021, the Senate Public Accounts Committee engaged the management of the Ecological Fund over a query from the Auditor General of the Federation. The query bordered on an allegation of non-payment of 30 million naira meant for compensation to owners of structures and economic trees affected by a contract for the dredging of Okoko and Ogbagba rivers in Oshogbo, capital of Osun State, worth 1.257 billion naira, said to be well spent. The query was read out by the representative of the Auditor General with the support from the committee chairman, Senator Matthew Urogide.
There was no evidence to prove that this payment was made to those beneficiaries. The implication of this charge is that public funds may be diverted for unappropriated purposes. Our recommendation is that the permanent secretary is required to recover the sum of 30 million naira and remit back to Treasury. Evidence of recovery should be forwarded to the National Assembly for confirmation.
I'm looking at expenditure of 1,257 million. And you have said that 1,227 million were very well spent. You don't have a problem with that. It is the 30 million that's going to be compensation.
Head of the Fund's delegation and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Dr. Habib Lawal, in a response, disclosed that a letter forwarded to the fund by the contractor shows that the amount was paid.
The first page, Annex 1, is a letter that the contractor forwarded to the office, giving the payment of compensation to owners of chattels along Akoko and Ogbagba rivers, dredging and lining works. And he has, the annex gives a breakdown of what he has paid to the victims or affected persons, but I don't want to call them victims. And then the second one is for the professional fee of the company to use to negotiate with them.
A payment of 1.5 million naira consultancy fee from the 30 million naira to a subcontractor attracted comments from a member of the committee.
The whole 30 million should go to those beneficiaries whose properties were assessed and evaluated by the engineers that did the evaluation. So we have two options here. And in all the two options, there is nowhere where provision has been made for the main contractor to self-engage consultancy work to another contractor and for him to utilize that money for the settlement of the person that he engaged without consultation.
Another issue was on the authenticity of the document presented.
I do not agree with this. I do not. Because if we were to take this one to a handwriting expert, we'll probably find out the same person maybe that signed them. Or thumbprint experts. You know? The only part I'm looking at, yes, the Auditor General is always interested in the minutest amount of money. But our own, the way I'm looking at it, is much more than that.
Looking at this submission, the thing is shrouded in secrecy and it looks like a voodoo arrangement. Because the signatures are just the same.
Exactly, yes.
And that is not good enough. It only means that the right thing was not done. If the right thing was done, this paper would not really look like this.
After contributions by other members of the committee, the query was vacated with an advice that the error should not be repeated.
From what I'm seeing here, unless you're able to defend it.
We will stop here for our profile segment. Stand by for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Biodun Olujimi represents Ekiti South Senatorial District of Ekiti State on the platform of PDP. After primary and secondary schools in Ibadan, Oyo State, she attended the Nigerian Institute of Journalism, Lagos, for a diploma in journalism in 1976. She also earned a bachelor's degree in political science as well as a postgraduate diploma in public relations and marketing from the University of Abuja. Senator Biodun Olujimi held various managerial and executive positions in the Nigerian Tribune newspapers, Post and Telecommunications (P&T), NTA, as well as Delta Steel Company Alaja, amongst others. She joined politics in 1997 and held various party positions in the National Consensus Party of Nigeria (NCPN) as well as PDP. She was also Deputy Governor of Ekiti State in 2005. She contested to the Senate in the 2015 general elections under PDP and won. She again contested in the 2019 general elections, with the results not being in her favor. As a result, she claimed her mandate following an appeal court ruling and was sworn in on the 14th of November 2019. Senator Biodun Olujimi is a member of several committees. Her legislative interests include children and women's development, education, economy, as well as agriculture.
And this is where we end this episode of our program for the week. Join us again next time for another edition. I remain Hussaina Amina Abuki, your regular anchor, saying thanks for watching.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, New Age TV, and don't forget to like, share, and comment.